पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादिशतारिणे गोपिकाकन्था राधाकान्ता नमोस्तुते तप्ता कञ्चनी गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि जय कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I would like to offer my respectful pranams upon each and every one of you for spending your day with us today. Thank you so much for coming. Today's katha is a really beautiful episode in the pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna. Krishna was only 7 years old when he carried out one of the most significant leelas during his time in Vrindavan Dham. Govardhan Katha is in fact the advanced teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. The difference is Govardhan Katha not only includes the theory but also the practical. Unlike the Mahabharata, the Govardhan Katha doesn't involve anyone who's inimical. In fact, you'll find that in the Govardhan Katha, every individual is Krishna's devotee. One half of the subjects are underneath illusion, and the other half are completely free from illusion. But Krishna mixes the two up in order to demonstrate his teachings through the lifting of Govardhan hill. Govardhan Katha is something which has given rise to so many changes on the surface of the earth. And today you'll get to hear about some of those impacts. The Kartik month has just begun. And during Kartik, it's a great opportunity to come together to hear about Lord Krishna. Today is the 4th day of Kartik. On today's date, many people who assemble together, they have the very special benediction that on the Karak Chaturthi, the 4th day of Kartik Mass, anyone who comes together to hear about Lord Shri Krishna, they get the benediction of having great prosperity for their husband, for their wife, for their children, and for their family. Today's day is a specific day where all of the blessings are placed upon the direct, immediate family. And therefore, on today's date, many people also, they have specific fasts which they carry out as well for the same purposes. So it's a great opportunity to come together and hear about Lord Shri Krishna and attract this benediction for anyone who assembles on the 4th day to speak, hear, and chant Krishna's name. So I'd like to welcome each and every one of you once again for being together on this very special Karak Chaturthi day of Kartik Mass. Hare Krishna. Lord Shri Krishna, he was only 7 years old. And on the banks of the Yamuna, there's a very beautiful town, forest called Madhuvan. The word Madhu also means honey. Anything that took place in Madhuvan is just like great amounts of nectar. So something great was about to happen in Madhuvan that changed the complete history of the world. When Lord Krishna descended in Dwapar Yuga, he found that there was a huge deviances from Dharma. And therefore, Krishna wanted to, through his playful times, also teach lessons, not just on the battlefield of Kurukshetra by speaking Bhagavad Gita. So some people, they can hear philosophy, and for others, they can see philosophy. And this is the uniqueness about the Govardhan Katha. So once upon a time, while Lord Krishna was in Madhuvan, his friends, Mansukha, Sudham, Shridham, they said to Krishna, I've heard that you are known as the subduer of problems. I have heard that you are the subduer of enemies. We have a task for you, Krishna. We have all suddenly become hungry. Therefore, please get rid of our hunger. So in this way, Mansukha, Shridham, Sudham, they were mockerizing and joking with Lord Shri Krishna. Krishna took this joke very seriously. And he said, so you're hungry and you wish for me to get rid of your hunger? No problem. You can see just on the side, on my right-hand side, there are some huts and houses. In one of those houses, there is a great rishi, and his name is Maharishi Angira. Some of you may have heard of Maharishi Angira. Maharishi Angira, he was born from Lord Brahma's mind. And he's such a powerful rishi that he spoke the hymns of the Rig Veda in society. So he's a very old rishi, Mahatma. Krishna said that Maharishi Angira, he is carrying out a puja, a yajna, with his sons and disciples. During this yajna, they have sweets, they have sandesh, they have barfi, they have odanam, payasam, they have sweet rice, cooked rice. So many types of articles are there. Go to Maharishi Angira and say to him that in the name of Krishna and Balaram, please give us some food so we can please our hunger. So the boys, they left Krishna's association and they went to the ashram of Maharishi Angira. Now Maharishi Angira, he was situated in Samadhi, and in front of him was the sacred fire, and they were meditating and they were worshipping Agni. So at that time, when the Gopas came to Maharishi Angira and they asked for chawal, for sandesh, for laddu, there was no response. Then the boys, they asked Maharishi Angira's disciples and his sons. Again, absolutely no response. Some of them actually didn't hear the request. Some of them, they heard, but there was no response. So the Gopas went back to Krishna and Balaram and said, Nimila, no food, no sandesh, no laddu, no prasad. Krishna started laughing and he said, go back. This time, go to the kitchen of the Brahmins and you'll find their wives are in the kitchen. Go and ask them. Their wives have a very special place for me in their heart. They love me a lot. So you go and ask the wives and see what they say. Immediately, when the Gopas approached the wives of the Brahmins, they immediately consented. And as soon as they found out the request is from Krishna and Balaram, they ran with lots of sweets and food to personally give to Lord Krishna and Balaram. When they arrived at the place where Lord Krishna was standing, in the scriptures it says, Krishna had one elbow on his friend, and with his right hand he was twirling a lotus flower. That's how he was standing. When the wives of the Brahmins came and saw Krishna in that pose, they got completely infatuated. And the reason for that is because for many, many years, these wives of the Brahmins, they were friends of the gopis of Vrindavan. And they heard from the gopis how Krishna looks. They heard from the gopis how he dresses. But they never got to see Lord Krishna. This was the first time that they got to see Krishna in flesh, standing right before him. The wives of the Brahmins, they said to Krishna many, many prayers. They worshipped him, they honored him. And Krishna said, actually, you should go back. You should go back to your husbands because they're doing puja and they might need your help. The wives of the Brahmins said, we'll go back, but first you eat. So Krishna and the Gopas, they sat in a circle, and the wives of the Brahmins started to feed every single one of Krishna's friends and Krishna and Balaram. At that time, while they were feeding Lord Krishna and Balaram and the Gopas, the skies opened up. And it seemed as if a huge halo had occurred, And from within the halo, a huge chariot emerged. It was a chariot which came directly from Krishna's spiritual planet, Golok Vrindavan. And on that chariot, the chariot driver, the chariot attendants, they all had the same face, the same dress as Lord Krishna. And as the chariot came and stood stationary on the ground, they indicated for the wives of the Brahmins to come and mount the chariot. Immediately they rushed on the chariot, and that chariot took the wives of the Brahmins from this earth directly back home, back to Krishna's planet, Golok Vrindavan. As they were leaving planet Earth, by Krishna's remarkable energy, he was able to create a shadow form of the wives of the Brahmins so they can return back to the puja to serve their husbands. When their husbands saw that the shadow forms of the wives had returned back, they noticed that the shadows seemed something very extraordinary. He could tell that these are the shadows not of humans, but shadows of perfected souls. Maharishi Angira, his sons, his disciples, they became immediately embarrassed, and they became captivated by the huge amount of insurmountable devotion that these shadows were carrying as they came back home to their husband's house. Maharishi Angira and his sons and disciples, they began to worship their wives. And they started to say, how is it possible? We who are engaged in puja, in yajna, in studying the Vedas, we were unable to recognize Lord Krishna and Balaram. But you immediately were able to understand who this is. And you gave up everything to go and serve them by feeding them with prasad, bhoga. Maharishi Angira, he meditated because he was a great rishi. And he realized that actually when Krishna had sent his friends for food, Krishna cast a spell on Maharishi Angira, his disciples, and his sons. Krishna put them underneath illusion, by which they were unable to respond to the request of food. And the reason for this is a beautiful story. In the Brahma Vivarta Purana, Narad asked this question to Lord Narayana. He says to Lord Narayana, how is it possible that Maharishi Angira rejected Lord Shri Krishna's call, while on the other side, his wives, the wives of his sons, and his disciples were able to recognize Lord Krishna? Lord Narayana tells Narad that the wives of the Brahmins, in their previous life, they were the wives of the Saptarishis. And as the wives of the Saptarishis, they had extraordinary beauty. They were so beautiful that anyone who sees the wives of the Saptarishis will become completely attracted and infatuated. Once upon a time, while the wives of the Saptarishis were engaged in Agni Karya, engaged in puja, Agni himself became attracted to the wives of the Saptarishis. And from Agni, a flame came out and touched the wives of the Saptarishis. Maharishi Angira, after the puja, he realized what happened. And he immediately cursed Agni. He said to Agni, because you touched the wives of the Saptarishis, I curse you now to become Sarva Bhakshi. Anything which you touch will be consumed. anything which you touch will become burnt. At least this way, Agni would never touch anyone's wife in future. That is the reason why Agni is Sarva Bhakshi. It burns and consumes everything by the curse of Maharishi Angira. Then he also cursed the wives of Saptarishis. He said to them, because you have been touched by Agni inappropriately, in the sense of the consciousness, therefore I curse you to also be born on earth as mortals. The wives of the Saptarishis became very sad, and they were crying, in fact. And they asked Maharishi Angira, how is it possible for this curse to be justified? We had no wrongdoing. We were just doing our puja. And if Agni came out to touch us in the form of his flame, that is not our fault. There was a whole conversation which took place where they were trying to plead with Maharishi Angira to take the curse back. Maharishi Angira, once again, he sat in meditation, and then he spoke and he said, actually, this curse that I gave you wasn't my doing. I felt like there was some power which forced me to speak this way. Let me spend a few days in trying to understand why is it that I spoke such inauspicious words, because you definitely are innocent. It was not your fault that because of your beauty, Agni came and touched you. Therefore, give me a few days, and I will try to work out a solution. A few days later, Maharishi Angira, he said something which is very beautiful. He said that actually this curse is a blessing, because the stage of spiritual advancement that the wives of the Saptarishis had attained was one stage just before transitioning and having eligibility to go back home, back to Godhead. Maharishi Angira said that all of the tap, all of your devotion, everything has accumulated in such a way that your next birth will be as a human in Vrindavan Dham. And in Vrindavan Dham, you'll be associating with Krishna's most confidential companions, the Vraja Gopis. And they will teach you Krishna Bhakti. And once you learn about how to be in a genuine and authentic relationship with Krishna, then you will go directly back home, back to Krishna's planet. And he said, Krishna darshena matrena golokam yas yatha dhruvam. When you are born in Vrindavan Dham, as the wives of the local Brahmins, you will get to see Krishna. And just by Krishna darshana matrena, just by seeing Krishna, golokam, you will immediately go back home to his planet. So this small pastime is very important to understand, because it outlines the steps of devotional service. Once the soul becomes perfected in spirituality, then they get an opportunity to be born at the time when Krishna is having his Leela. And then from that point, they can then be transitioned back to the spiritual world. So in this story you can see, in fact in a story you can see how everything happens for a reason. Now, the wives of the Brahmins had gone back to the spiritual world. What was left? Maharishi Angira, his sons and disciples. And they felt so terrible. They started to hit themselves on the chest. They began to condemn themselves. How unfortunate are we that our wives, due to the dint of their devotion, had the opportunity to associate with the gopis of Vrindavan, and from then onwards see Krishna, and from seeing Krishna go directly back home back to Krishna's planet for eternity. And here we are, in the very same place where we started. And in fact, they became so eager to see Lord Shri Krishna that Krishna felt very bad. He felt very sad that he had put the rishis under illusion by which he can return their wives back to the spiritual world, that he decided to spend a few days with the rishis in Vrindavan. And Sridhar Swami, one of the great commentators, he says that Krishna and Balaram, they spent a few days and nights in a village of the Brahmins, giving association. But that wasn't enough. Lord Krishna, he wanted to do something by which he can honor and worship the Brahmins, his devotees. And therefore, in the Govardhan Leela, the Brahmins who had neglected him because of being underneath illusion, they're going to feature into a very prominent role in the Govardhan Katha. That is why it's very important to understand the story just before Govardhan. Because later on, when you hear about when Krishna rejected Indra, he explains that Indra, Chandra, Agni, Marut, Vayu, the 33 million gods, they all reside in the body of a Brahmin. And he explains that actually, instead of worshipping Indra, worship the local Brahmins. And in this way, Krishna showed his love for those whom he used in order to complete the curse of Maharishi Angira and take their wives back to the spiritual world. So it's such a beautiful advent of an introduction to the Govardhan Leela, which we will begin in a few moments. Govardhan is a very special hill. It's situated, as all of you know, in Vrindavan. And beside Govardhan is the most sacred lake called Radha Kund. We have a very beautiful bhajan that Prabhuji will now recite with us. And I would like you all to please join in with all your hearts and souls in singing the bhajan, Radha Kunda Tata. Hare Krishna.
Jai Jai Shri Radha Kunda Tata Kunja Kuti राधा कुंड तथा कुंज कुटीर राधे राधा कुंड तथा कुंज कुटीर राधे राधा कुंड तथा कुंज कुटीर वंशीवत गोकुला धीरा सामीरा वंशीवत गोकुला धीरा सामीरा वृंदावन तारो लातिका बानीर वृंदावन तारो लातिका बानी खागा मृगा कुला मालाया बाताश खागा मृगा कुला मालाया मयूरा ब्रह्मारा मुराली विलास मयूरा ब्रह्मारा मुराली राधा कुंड तथा कुंज कुटीर राधे राधा कुंड तथा कुंज कुटीर राधे राधा कुंड तथा कुंज कुटीर वेणु श्रृंगापाद चिन्हा मेघमाला वेणु श्रृंगापाद चिन्हा माला वासंत शंख शंख करताला वासंत शंख शंख करताला युगला विलासे अनुकूला जानी युगला विलासे अनुकूला जानी लीला विलसे उड्डीपका मानी लीला उड्डीपका मानी राधा कुंड तथा कुंज कुटीर राधे राधा कुंड तथा कुंज कुटीर राधे राधा कुंड तथा कुंज कुटीर सब छोड़ तो कान्ही नाही जाऊं सब छोड़ तो कान्ही नाही जाऊं सब छोड़ तो पारा न हारो सब छोड़ा तो पारा न हारो भाकती विनोदा को है सुनो का भाकती विनोदा को है सुनो का तू Radha Kunda Tata Kunja Kutira Radhe Radha Kunda Tata Kunja Kutira Radhe Radha Kunda Tata Kunja Kutira Radhe Radha Kunda Tata Kunja Kutira 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 Radhe
Jai Giraj Maharaj ki Jai Ho. So beautiful, wasn't it? Thank you so much. And let us introduce very quickly Anjana Sutta Prabhu will be here with us today. He's my favorite singer, one of our favorite singers here at the Manor, and he'll be singing some wonderful more bhajans throughout the Katha. We also have our favorite Sunit on tabla, again joining with us, and of course our amazing flutist Jairaj Prabhuji, and backing singers Sona and Shyam Sundar Prabhuji. Thank you. So they'll keep us focused and beautified as in the forthcoming Katha of Govardhan Leela. Govardhan, as you know, is such an important aspect in Vrindavan that whoever goes to see Lord Krishna's home, they must visit Govardhan Hill. All of you have been, please raise your hands if you've seen Govardhan Hill. Let's just see. Wonderful. Yes, a lot of people have seen. One of the most beautiful aspects of this Katha is that it's a huge hill that Krishna actually lifted off the ground, and you can see the remnants of what he did 5,000 years ago. There are many things in Vrindavan that have taken place that we can experience even to this very day. Just one or two small examples. Please raise your hands if you were here for the Prakatya Utsav Katha for Radharaman Devji in May. Just raise your hands if you were here. Fantastic, okay. So I'll just give a very, very 2-minute brief explanation. Kartik, as you know, is a time where we honor one of the second most important Kathas, which is the Damodar Leela. And we all explained in May, in lots of detail, just 2 minutes maybe, that Lord Ranganath, on his belly to this day, you can see the marks of the rope that Yashoda Maya had tied to Krishna's belly to this very day. It was that same Ranganath that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had inspired in the heart of Gopal Bhatta Goswami to seek in the river of Nepal in the form of a Shaligram Shila. The Shaligram Shila that Shripad Gopal Bhatta Goswami found in Nepal was a Damodar Shila. Now, when you see a Shaligram Shila, the features, the marks of it, tells you what Vishnu, what Krishna form that Shila is. So on this huge Shaligram Shila, there is a line which goes around it. That line represents the rope that Yashoda Maya had tied around the Uddhara of Krishna's stomach, his waist. Now, later on in the Katha, we explain that the Shaligram Shila, before the very eyes of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, not overnight, but before his very eyes, he saw from a Shila a three-dimensional deity manifested. When me and my wife were in Vrindavan just this time last month, I saw something incredible. I haven't read about this, and I don't think you will know about this, so I'll tell you. We had the opportunity of seeing Radharaman Devji for quite a few times, because we were there for some days. And I noticed that there was a circle around the belly of Radharamanji. Around his waistline, there was the markings of a rope engraved. I did not know that this exists to this day. It's amazing how the rope marks on the Shila, when transformed into a three-dimensional deity, also transitioned around the waist of Radharamandev. So, if you go when it's hot to Vrindavan, he stands with not many clothes on, then you can see around his belly the divinity of the rope marks around his waist. So please go at some time when it's hot enough for you to see this with your very own eyes. My wife actually asked some of the Brahmins that please tell us some of the intimate stories. They said something which was very beautiful. They said, if I tell you, then he will stop telling me. If I tell you, then he will stop coming in my dreams. If I tell you, everything will stop. That's why we don't say these things, which is also quite nice, because it's very personal, it's very intimate, and it's up to each and every one of us to realize ourselves. Destiny, fate, Krishna's blessings, the guidance of devotees, it will take you in your spiritual lives to see things that you haven't heard of, you haven't read of, but you will see. It is not that you have to always hear. Yes, of course, hearing is very important, but the eyes are there for a purpose. And like I had mentioned earlier, Govardhan hill is something you cannot miss. It's huge. And you can imagine Krishna lifted up this hill. And we're going to read a little bit about the importance of this hill. But this is not only some of the things that have happened in Vrindavan surrounding Lord Shri Krishna. Can I tell you the story very quickly of Krishna's watch? Yes, Krishna's watch. So, from our very own hometown, UK, right? There was a Major General Charles Metcalfe. Okay? He was actually born, anybody here from Calcutta? Anybody? 1, 2? Major General Charles Metcalfe was actually born in Calcutta during the British Raj. And he was born in 1785. Okay? Those days you might know. Many Englishmen were actually born in India. There were some friends of my son whose grandfathers were also born in India. They're complete Englishmen, but they were born in India. So, can we call him Charles for now? Okay, Major General. We have no army people here, no one would mind. Okay, we'll call him by his first name, Charles. So Charles, he loved Indian culture. He loved Vedic culture. And he happened to have become the governor of Agra in 1834. Okay? Now you would know that Agra is not too far from Vrindavan. Jaipur, Mathura, paas mein hai, right? It's very close. So he happened to have seen the majestic beauty of Lord Gopinath. Who has seen Gopinath? Please place your hands up. You have seen 1, 2, few people? Gopinath ji, who lives in Jaipur. There is a huge story which we won't discuss now because I have to get to Govardhan Leela. Okay? And there's so many stories before and after and in the middle. I need to make sure I have my notes we have to go through. So when he saw, who has seen Radha Govinda Dev in Jaipur? Please raise your hands. Okay. So when I saw Govinda Dev, I could not believe how big he is. Right, Prabhuji? He's majestic. There's absolutely no way you could think that this is not God. Right? He is so beautiful that even an atheist or someone with dull senses like me can also see this is something special. So when Charles saw Gopinath ji, he was absolutely enamored. He felt this is God. But Charles wanted to test Gopinath. Sometimes, you know, we might not test God, but some people, they test God. Let them test God, we can see the results. So Charles wanted to test God. So on his wrist, he had a watch which had stopped working. So he said to the Brahmins, "Is this God?" He said, "Of course it is." Actually, at that time, many Indians would speak good English, actually, during the British Raj. "Yes, this is God." And he said, "Okay, does he have a heart?" "Yes, he has a heart." And they started to explain that in the murti of Lord Krishna, there is prana, life air. In the same way that we breathe, Krishna breathes. It is just not a statue. There is a whole ceremony done in order to invoke the life air in the murti. And the murti is alive. We may think it's not alive, but it's alive. So Charles said, "Fine. Give him this watch and see if it works." He took off his watch, and the pujaris put the watch on the wrist of Gopinath. And the watch began to tick, tick, tick. After this katha, Google Gopinath Jaipur watch, and you see what you see. Even to this day, Charles's watch is on the right hand of Gopinath ji. And every time they take the watch off to do Abhishek, the watch stops. And when they put the watch back on Krishna's right arm, tick, tick, tick. So please Google after Katha, not during the Katha. Okay? Hare Krishna. So these are some of the very beautiful stories of Krishna's incredible engagements and relationships with people. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 24th chapter of the 10th canto, Shukdev Goswami explains that while Krishna and Balaram were living in the village of the Brahmins that we described earlier, Krishna noticed that his father was preparing a puja. So Krishna approached his father and he said to his father, "What is this puja about?" He asked his father, "Who is this puja for? What is the purpose? How is it done? And what is the puja's name?" These are the 4 questions that Krishna asked his father. And then Krishna had no response from his father, because he was only 7 years old. So Nanda Maharaj didn't take Krishna too seriously. And then Krishna made a statement. He said, "Udasino arivat varjya." He said, "My father, do you know that anyone who is neutral should be avoided just like an enemy?" So sitting on the fence is not always the best solution. Krishna says, one who is neutral, consider them just like your enemy. And then he says that a friend should be considered like oneself. Nanda Baba, am I your enemy or am I your friend? So Nanda Maharaj, it is said by Jiva Goswami that when he heard these 4 questions of Lord Krishna, Nanda Baba stood silent. And the reason why he stood silent was because he was remembering that Krishna, he had just killed Putana. He had just got rid of Kaliya. And Nanda Baba did not want any more fighting in Vrindavan. No more fighting. And definitely not with Indra. So Nanda Baba actually stood silent when he heard these questions from his son. And then Krishna, he asked one more question which completely forced Nanda Baba to respond. Krishna said, "Bhavatam kim vicharitaha athavalokikas tanme." Is this puja that you are doing manufactured? Is it because your father told you? Is it because your friends told you? Or is it in scripture? Nanda Baba now had a philosophical dilemma and he had to respond. And then Nanda Baba, he then gave a huge response. He said, Parjanyo Bhagavan Indro Megastasyatma Murtayaha Te Vivarshanti Bhutanam Prinanam Jivanam Payaha. He said that Indra is Bhagavan. Okay, you heard in the Sanskrit? Parjanyo Bhagavan Indro. That Indra is actually Bhagavan. And he is in charge of Parjanya. He is in charge of the clouds. The clouds are actually the extension of Indra's body. And from the clouds, he gives us rain. From the rain, we get grass. From the grass, our cows eat. From the cows, we then have milk. We use it, we sell it, and that's how we sustain our community. So for us, Indra is Bhagavan. Krishna actually laughed his head off. It's actually written in the Puranas that Krishna began to laugh. And he said, "Are you joking?" Krishna couldn't believe what he's hearing. He said, out of all people, someone who gives you rain, you think he's God? Indra cannot be the God that you're talking of. And then Krishna began to philosophically debate his father. This is the first time in Krishna's advent that he began to speak philosophy. Just imagine a 7-year-old boy speaking philosophy. And his father was listening because Krishna hadn't yet gone to school. Just used to play with his friends. Where did he get all this philosophy from? He doesn't read. Well, that time they had no TV. No YouTube, no TikTok, no anything. No education at all. Where is Krishna getting his philosophy from? Krishna then began to explain to Nanda Baba that how is it possible that scientifically Indra is God? And then Krishna began to scientifically explain that, don't you understand how the rains are formed? And then he spoke about how the clouds and the ocean and the sun and the rain, how they interact to bathe planet Earth with rain. Krishna started to scientifically try to convince his father why Indra is not Bhagavan. And then he said, but let me tell you something. Even if Indra is Bhagavan, doesn't he rely upon us doing something? Doing something, as in karma. Doesn't he also rely upon us doing some activity by which then he pleases us with rain? That means that activity is supreme. That means that karma is supreme. Please note that Indra cannot change the destiny of any human, any mortal, any celestial, any god. Everybody is bound by the laws of actions and reactions. So Krishna began to philosophize with his father to explain to him the laws of karma. And then he said that actually karma is so important that there are 5 faces of karma. He said the 5 faces of karma are Shatru as an enemy, Mitram as a friend, Udashinaha as a witness, Gurur as a guru, and Ishvara as God. Therefore, if you are to worship somebody, Tasmat Sampujayat Karma. If you are to worship somebody, worship karma, or the lawmaker of karma. Nanda Baba was now thinking very deeply. And then the elderly Gopas, Sanandana, and the Brahmins all assembled to hear this philosophical conversation between Krishna and his father. And now Krishna had an audience. So for the first time, Krishna speaking philosophy, and now for the first time he has an audience where elderly people are now coming to hear Krishna's philosophy. This is why this Leela is so important. It is the first time that Krishna began to preach his knowledge, way before Bhagavad Gita. Now Krishna became very serious and grave. And he said, Mahendra kim karishyati? What does Indra have to do with any of this? You do work, you will get a consequence, good or bad. Therefore, Mahendra kim karishyati? What does Indra have to do with your actions and reactions? He is induced to give rain because of your actions. And by the way, even if you want to worship Indra, you have a problem. There are so many other millions of gods who will become upset. So I have a solution for you. Free-form solution by which you will not upset anyone. Free-form solution. Krishna says, Brahmananam sharireshu tishtanti sarvadevataha. That in the form of our Brahmins, Maharishi Angira, who we spoke about earlier, Krishna wanted to very much please and worship and honor the very sad Brahmins who had, due to being cast a spell by Krishna himself, unable to fulfill the wish of giving them food. Krishna now wanted to honor and serve them and please them. So Krishna pointed to the local Brahmins and said, in their bodies, all of the devatas reside. Tishtanti. And then he said, Ga Vardhyati Nityam. That the Govardhan hill, because of Govardhan, we have cows. Because Govardhan has grass, and from the grass, the cows sustain themselves, and they maintain our life. Yastena Govardhanaha Smrita. Second point, you should worship Govardhan. So first was the Brahmins, next was Govardhan, and then he said something which all of you are very familiar with. Krishna said, Sarvadeva Gavam Ange, that in the body of the cow, Sarvadeva, all of the cows, all of the devatas reside in each and every body of the cow. And in fact, Tirthani Tat Padeshucha, in the foot, in the feet of the cows, all of the places of pilgrimage reside. By touching the feet of the cows, you touch all places of pilgrimage. And in this way, if you worship the Brahmins, Govardhan, and the cow, you will attain full prosperity in life. Sananda and the senior Gopas and the Brahmins, they all agreed. And Krishna then explained to them exactly how to worship Govardhan. And then the Nandas, the Upanandas, and the Vrishabhanus, the big communities that were living in Vrindavan at that moment, they all congregated to perform this festival. Krishna said, everyone should be decorated in their best clothes. Everyone should come in a festive mood. We should offer bhoga to Govardhan. We should all worship Govardhan. We should chant the Purusha Sukta. We should offer an abhishek to Govardhan hill. Everyone should circumambulate and bow down to Govardhan hill. With half of the food that we cook, we should give to the Brahmins. And then all of the poor and the other people of the other communities and varnas. We should feed the children. We should give gifts to each other. And in this way, Lord Krishna outlined a whole festival and ceremony. Krishna is a really fun person. He likes to have festivals. He likes to make sure that everyone is fully engaged and in so much bliss and happiness. Radharani, she heard about the festival. So she came riding in a palanquin with the gopis offering chamar and vyanjan, peacock feather and fans to her. Her parents came, and from the heavens, Lord Shiva and Parvati also descended to partake in the festival of Govardhan Puja. And at that point, while everybody were engaged in worshipping Govardhan, they immediately put the cows in front, the Brahmins in front, and they began to circumambulate Govardhan Hill. And as they walked around Govardhan Hill, they saw something extraordinary. Every angle of Govardhan Hill manifested the sweet and beautiful face of Lord Krishna himself. They saw Krishna, they saw Govardhan, and they realized that Govardhan Hill is Krishna himself. In the Puranas, it explains that Govardhan was manifested from the chest of Lord Krishna. Once, while Krishna and the gopis were entertaining their pastimes, Radharani asked Krishna, "Show me how much you love us." Have you heard that when they asked Hanuman, "Who is in your heart?" what did he show? Absolutely, Sitaram. Who is in your heart, Lord Krishna? You speak too much. You say you love your devotees. You spend a bit of time with me. But what is in your heart? Let me see. As they looked into Krishna's chest, like from a seed sprouts a beautiful flower, from his heart sprouted Govardhan Hill. So Govardhan Hill is the manifestation of Krishna's love and his devotion, his inner feelings towards his devotees, and especially Sri Radharani. That is Govardhan Hill. And when Govardhan Hill, as an extension of Krishna's heart, manifested in Vrindavan, can you imagine? It just kept on growing. It kept on growing. It became so big that it completely covered the entire Vrindavan land. And this is why Govardhan was originally cursed by Maharishi Pulastya. When Maharishi Pulastya saw Govardhan, the son of Dronachala, and said, "Actually, this is a very nice hill to do puja, meditation and tapasya on. I will take you to Kashi." So as Pulastya Rishi was taking Govardhan to Kashi, Govardhan said, "I'll come to Kashi, but wherever you put me down, I will not move from that place." And as Govardhan was passing Vrindavan on the way to Kashi, Govardhan recognized Vrindavan as the future home of Lord Krishna. So Govardhan increased its weight, so much so that Maharishi Pulastya had to put Govardhan down in Vrindavan. When Maharishi Pulastya gained a bit of strength, rested a little bit, he went to pick up Govardhan and it wouldn't move. He tried with all his energy. Maharishi Pulastya couldn't lift Govardhan Hill. So he said to Govardhan, "What's happening? Huh? You meant to come to Kashi. What happened?" And then Govardhan Hill said, "I said to you, wherever you put me down, I will not move from that place." Pulastya then cursed Govardhan. Every day it would decrease by the size of a mustard seed. That is why Govardhan Hill is increasing and decreasing. And therefore we can see Govardhan Hill in Vrindavan. When the face of Govardhan Hill manifested Krishna's sweet eyes, sweet lips, sweet cheek, his forehead, his hair, Krishna immediately, to take attention off himself and back onto Govardhan, he said, "Aho, aho, aho, wow, look, pashyata, see, shaila so rupi, look at the beautiful Govardhan. It has now manifested his personal form. Anugraham vyadat." Govardhan Hill has manifested its personal form to give all of you special kripa, special blessings. And in this way, everybody, even the slightest of doubt that the Indra Puja should have happened, now all of the doubts were eradicated because they saw that what Krishna had said was the absolute truth. Not only is Govardhan Hill to be worshipped, but Govardhan Hill is a person. It's Krishna himself. And they saw Krishna manifest in Govardhan Hill. And this is why the gopis and the gopas all began to sing with so much love and devotion, Shri Govardhan Maharaj, Tere Mathe Mukata Viraje Raho.
वृंदावन के वृक्ष को मरमन जाने को, ढाल ढाल और भत भत पे राधे राधे को। श्री गोवर्धन महाराज महाराज तेरे माथे मुकुट विराज रहो। श्री गोवर्धन महाराज
महाराज तेरे माथे मुकुट विराज रहो।
श्री गोवर्धन महाराज महाराज तेरे माथे मुकुट विराज रहो। श्री गोवर्धन
महाराज
महाराज तेरे
माथे मुकुट विराज रहो।
तो पे पान छड़े तो पे फूल छड़े, 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 तो पे छड़े तो पे छड़े तो पे छड़े दूध की धार हो धार तेरे माथे मुकुट विराज रहो। तो पे छड़े दूध की धार हो धार तेरे माथे मुकुट विराज रहो। श्री गोवर्धन महाराज महाराज तेरे माथे मुकुट विराज रहो। श्री गोवर्धन महाराज
महाराज तेरे माथे मुकुट विराज रहो।
तेरे काल में कंठा सज रहो। तेरे काल में कंठा सज रहो। तेरे गाल में कंठा सज रहो। तेरे गाल में कंठा सज रहो। तोड़ी पे तोड़ी पे तोड़ी पे हीरा लाला हो लाला तेरे माथे मुकुट विराज रहो। तोड़ी पे हीरा लाला श्री गोवर्धन महाराज महाराज तेरे माथे मुकुट विराज रहो। श्री गोवर्धन
महाराज महाराज तेरे माथे मुकुट विराज रहो।
तेरे कानन कुंडल चमक रहो। तेरे कानन
कुंडल चमक रहो।
तेरे कानन कुंडल चमक रहो।
कानन कुंडल चमक रहो।
तेरे कानन कुंडल चमक रहो, तेरे कानन कुंडल चमक रहो, तेरी झांकी तेरी झांकी तेरी झांकी बानी विशाल हो विशाल, तेरे माथे मुकुट विराज रहो श्री
महाराज महाराज तेरे माथे मुकुट विराज रहो।
श्री गोवर्धन महाराज महाराज तेरे माथे मुकुट विराज रहो, श्री गोवर्धन
महाराज महाराज तेरे माथे मुकुट विराज रहो।
तेरे कानन कुंडल तेरे सात कोस की परिक्रमा, तेरी सात कोस की परिक्रमा, तेरी सात कोस की परिक्रमा, तेरी सात कोस की परिक्रमा, चकले हे चकले चकलेश्वर है विश्राम तेरे माथे मुकुट विराज रहो, चकलेश्वर है विश्राम श्री गोवर्धन महाराज महाराज तेरे माथे मुकुट विराज रहो, श्री गोवर्धन आहे श्री गोवर्धन महाराज महाराज तेरे माथे मुकुट विराज रहो, तेरे माथे मुकुट विराज रहो, तेरे माथे मुकुट विराज रहो।
जय श्री गिरिराज महाराज की जय हो। So beautiful, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Round of applause, please. Prabhuji, thank you so much. Thank you. Beautiful. So in this way, Giri Govardhan was worshipped as a person. You can probably understand some of the words. This is Braja Bhasha. Should we try a few words for some people that may not know? Tere mathe mukata viraj raho. That on your head is a beautiful mukut, a beautiful turban, a beautiful crown. Tope pana chare, tope phoola chare. Tope means tumare in Braja Bhasha. Tope pana chare. That beetle nuts leaves are being offered to Giriraj. Tope phoola chare. People are offering flowers to Govardhan. Tope chare doodh ki dar. And a stream of milk is flowing upon Govardhan hill because they are performing an abhishek. Tere mathe mukata viraj. Such a beautiful crown is on the head of Shri Govardhan. Tere gale, on your neck, on your throats, Kantha. There's a beautiful, beautiful flower garland, and there are jewels situated on there. And in this way, Govardhan is decorated with beautiful kundal chamaka, beautiful shining earrings. There's lots of ornaments on the Lord, and the Braja Gopis and the Gopas are doing a circumambulation around Govardhan hill. And this bhajan very beautifully summarizes how the very first Govardhan Puja was performed. Now, in the Garaga Samhita and other scriptures as well, it explains how devotees should commemorate Govardhan Puja on an annual basis. And at the manor here and many temples around the world, especially in India, they follow those procedures. It's actually written, there's a lot of detail. It states, for example, from Gobar, one should make a Govardhan hill and they should invoke Lord Krishna and they should worship, do parikrama, offer bhoga in the very same way that Krishna himself began this festival. Isn't it so nice that sometimes, we hear that there are people who don't believe in God. There are some people who believe in God, but here you are with access directly to the desire of God. And actually what you're doing is by performing Govardhan Puja, you're actually participating in Krishna's pastimes. It's amazing, isn't it? That we can actually directly access Krishna's intimate engagements and be a part of it. That I think is very special. I think we are all so fortunate to be part of Krishna's Leela by participating annually in festivals that he himself spoke about, wrote about, and established. So we'll have Govardhan Puja in a few weeks' time. But as you know, in every beautiful moment, there is some problem. There is some challenge, Koi na koi gadbad aati rehti hai. Isn't there? There's always some obstacle. And the singing and the instruments that were being played during Govardhan Puja, somebody was listening. And this person who was listening is that person who is always ready for Krishna or Lord Ram or Lord Vishnu to show their power. And this person who stares so beautifully is Devarishi Narad Muni. Who else? Who else but Narad Muni? Narad Muni saw what's going on and he went straight to Indra. Indra, why are you sitting in your throne in Amaravati? All of these apsaras are dancing for you. All of these Brahmins are worshipping you. But do you know why they were dancing and worshipping Indra? Because he done one thing. He done one thing which was amazing. It's a long story. Time nahi hai. 3 minutes, very quickly. 3 minutes, very quickly. Okay, 3 minutes, okay? So, put Krishna Leela to one side for one moment. Let's go to Ramayana. Okay? Ramayana chalte. So in Ramayana, there was a time, as you know, when Lord Ram and Ravan, sometimes people say Lord Ram and Lord Ravan. So if I say that, please tell me, When Lord Ram and Ravan were fighting in Lanka, there was a time where Lord Ram had decided that I will now end Ravan. Too much is happening. Lakshmana has become victim. Hanuman had to bring the hill, as you know. Then Shushena had to do his Ayurvedic potions and get Lakshman to sniff him, after which he came back alive. Lord Ram even said that actually, I don't want Sita. If Lakshman dies, I die. He said that. Forget about Sita. If Lakshman dies, I die. That's when Hanuman jumped. Because Hanuman did not want didn't want Ram to leave. It's a how beautiful story. So what happened was, when Ram was fighting with Ravan, actually in the Ramayana it says that Lord Ram's color was actually blue. It says he was blue, okay? So it says that Ravan was fighting so aggressively that the entire body of Lord Ramchandra was covered in his own blood. Can you imagine? Even we cannot conceive of a little bit of blood on the body of Ram. His entire body was covered red. It is said it was like a blue flower, which is now being overgrown by a red, beautiful rose. Ram was sweating blood of his own. At that time, Ram became so ferocious, and he shot an arrow which completely annihilated Ravan and made him unconscious. Ravan's charioteer, he done something which he has never done before. He immediately took Ravan's chariot and he ran away from the battlefield. When he ran away from the battlefield, Ravan woke up and he started blasting his charioteer. How dare you take my chariot outside of the battlefield? You have made me into a coward. And Ravan was just very aggressively dealing with his charioteer. He even started saying to him, have you taken a bribe from Lakshman or Hanuman? Is that why you have made me into a coward? You should have let me die. Now his charioteer started to give him philosophical answers, which we won't get into now. But what happened was, Lord Ram, he was standing on the battlefield, breathing heavily, with blood of his own dripping from his body, and no one came close to him. Neither Lakshman, nor Hanuman, nor Vibhishan, nor Angad, no one came close to Lord Ram because he was not in a state that you would want to go and speak to him. At that point, the entire battlefield paused. At such a time, Tato yuddha parishrantam samare chintaya sthitam Ravanam chagrito drishtva yuddhaya samapastitam Deva deva samagamya drashnumabhyagato ranam Upagamya pravitaramam agastyo bhagavan rishihi Rama Rama mahabaho shinaguhyam sanatanam Yena sarmanindvaksha samare vijishyasi Aditya hridayam punyam sarva shatru vinashanam Jayavaham jape nityam akshayam paramam shivam Saramangala mangalyam sarapapranashanam Chinta shok prashmanam ayu vardhanam uttamam. At that point, it's a beautiful prayer in Ramayana. At that point, from the heavens, Agastya Rishi appeared. And Agastya Rishi said to Lord Ram, you are the only person who, after millions and millions of years, has had the courage to come and confront Ravan. And you can see even the state of God when faced with someone like Ravan. And he said, there has never been a time where Vishnu, even Krishna, let alone Lord Ram, anyone has drawn blood from them. This is how powerful Ravan was. He was not just a demon. Some of you know he was the son of a great Maharishi. He had boons like no one had ever received. And Ram was in a great amount of calamity at that point. That is when Agastya Rishi appeared. At that point, Agastya Rishi said to Lord Ramachandra, you are from the Surya Vamsh. And Surya Dev, he is waiting to bestow all of his blessings and power to you. All of the planets, all of the gods, all of the celestials, they want to come together on your hand and join forces with you to annihilate Ravan. Then Agastya Rishi, he taught Lord Ram the Aditya Hridaya Stotram. The Aditya Hridaya Stotram was recited to Lord Ramchandra. And at that time, Lord Ram meditated. He done Achaman 3 times. And then he recited the Aditya Hridaya Stotra. After reciting it, Ravan had returned. Now, the Acharyas explain that the reason why Ram received the Aditya Hridayam was because Lord Ram, he felt pity on Ravan. He saw Ravan as one of his own attendants of the spiritual world, Jay and Vijay. And he did not want Ravan to be humiliated. That is why, to cover the gap, a good filler, Agastya Rishi appeared. and taught Ram Aditya Hridayam. Ram had no need to learn the Aditya Hridayam. But still, as part of the pastime, it was the celestials who wanted to come to join forces with Lord Ramchandra to annihilate Ravan. Because Ravan had not only abducted Sita, but he had humiliated and abused many of the great celestial females. Vedavati, so many. Aramba, so many he had offended. So they all wanted to come together. At that point, when Lord Ram was fighting with Ravan, Indra, he saw that Ravan is on a chariot, but my Deloshi Lord Ram, with no paduka, with no shoes, he is barefoot on the land of Lanka, fighting with Ravan. At that time, Indra told Matili, please go with my chariot, with my Vajra, take my Indra Danush and give it to Lord Ram. Tell Lord Ram, this is your chariot. Be on an equal footing with Ravan and go and win this war. So Indra came at a point which in the eyes of the mortals was to actually save Lord Ramchandra. And he sent his charioteer, Matali. He sent his chariot. He sent his bow and arrows. And then Indra, Lord Ram, having circumambulated the chariot of Indra, mounted it, held the rainbow, Indradhanush, and then he began, on behalf of the celestials, to fight with Ravan till his death. Sorry, that was not meant to be 3 minutes, that was much longer. But Ramayana is such, when you start to speak about Ramayana, you can just recite verses and talk about the Katha so beautifully. But what happened was, enough Ramayana now, okay? Enough of Ramayana. Back to Krishna Leela. So, Indra was being glorified because he had helped Lord Ramchandra. Narad said, why are you being glorified? Do you know, on earth, they've changed their mind. No one likes you anymore. In fact, they're worshipping a hill instead of you. Do you know that for so many years, the puja of Indra, you, has been stopped by a 7-year-old child. And everyone is following him. Indra, you're finished. Nobody's going to worship you. No one's going to talk about you. These Brahmins and Apsaras, they're going to leave and go to Vrindavan. Indra, do something about it. Indra became so angry. He couldn't believe it. I saved Raghunath. I was the reason why Sita went back to Lanka. In fact, I beat Ravan. Who is this 7-year-old boy? At that point, Indra, he decided he will call one of his greatest weapons in the form of a cloud. Scientists have not yet discovered this cloud, okay? The cloud's name is Samvartaka, okay? This cloud comes at the last moment when the earth is about to, sorry to say, explode, okay? So this is a cloud of devastation. Indra said, I am so upset, I'm going to call Samavartaka to end the earth right now. Because of what Krishna done, no one should live on earth. That's how angry he was. So the Samavartaka cloud, he woke up from his sleep. It's a bit early, but there's still another few thousand years left. But no problem, I will go and destroy earth. Samavartaka came. Vayu came. And immediately, as all of you know, they started to attack Vrindavan. Now it said in the scriptures that Stuna Stula Varshadhara, when the clouds were releasing rain, they were like columns of rain. They completely submerged the earth. You could no longer see the high ground. In fact, the rains from the Samvartaka cloud were in the form of human hands, literally punching and slapping everyone in Vrindavan Dham physically. It is said that the rains took the form of the trunks of elephants and thunderbolts. So all of the rains that were falling from the Samvarta cloud were actually in the form of weapons. And they were attacking. Now Indra did something which no one has ever dared to do before. I shouldn't say this so much because we are in Bhaktivedanta Manor where we have a Goshala. But there is one thing that you don't do in Vedic culture. Indra crossed the line. Indra decided that he will now attack the thing that pleases Krishna the most. Indra decided, Pashun Nayata Sankshayam. I will bring destruction to Krishna's cows. Indra, he had one objective. He wanted to kill the cows of Vrindavan. This you might not know, because out of respect, we don't say this too much. And I won't also say it too much. But in the Brahma Vaivarta Puran, it says there was so much hailstones, there was so much rain, that the cows of Vrindavan, they actually froze. And when they froze, the strength of the rains squeezed their stomachs, their bodies, and their udders, and they just fell onto the ground dead. This is actually what the scriptures say. Some of the other cows who had not froze because of the onslaught of the rains and the hailstones and the storm, they tried to cover the bodies of the smaller cows and the calves. Maybe I won't go on more, okay? But you can understand it was a very, very chaotic, it was a very, very irreligious and very dangerous situation that Indra had put Krishna in. Cow after cow was dying in Vrindavan. At that point, the Gopas, Krishna's parents, the cowherd and the cowherd women of Vrindavan, and some of the cows that had survived, they ran to Krishna and they started begging him for help. You stopped the Indra worship, and now look at what is happening. The livelihood of our community is going to stop, and our mothers are being murdered because of you. At that point, Krishna, the scriptures say that he was so perturbed, he actually started speaking to himself. He wasn't silent. Remember, Krishna is a person. Yes, of course, he's the supreme person, but he has feelings, he has emotions, he has a relationship with people. In fact, if you read the scriptures, he was the first ever animal activist. Absolutely. No one before. Krishna started speaking to himself, and he said, Danishye Shri Madam Tamaha. I will today destroy the ignorance and the opulence of Swarg Adipati Indra. And then Krishna started speaking to himself. He started saying, for example, Tasmat mat charanam goshtam, mamanatha mat parigraham. I must protect my cowherd community, for I am their shelter. I am their master, and they are my own family. And for all of your benefit, Krishna also said, Soya me vritamahitaha. I have taken a vow to always protect all of my devotees. So Krishna, while speaking to himself in this way, he was actually sitting in his porch. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, one of the great acharyas, mentions that Krishna, he called his potency, called Samhariki. And Samhariki, she stops the rain falling in between Krishna's porch and Govardhan Hill. So his turban and his clothes don't get wet. So Krishna was about to run from his porch all the way down to Govardhan Hill. And as Krishna ran from his porch to Govardhan Hill, then the Puranas, they explain in lots of detail how Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill. And for that, we'll have a little drum roll. Krishna, he first placed both of his hands underneath Govardhan. Left and right hand he placed under Govardhan. Iti yukta vekyena hastena kritva Govardhanachalam. And with his two hands, he began to lift Govardhan Hill. And as he lifted Govardhan Hill, Tadhara Leelaya Vishnus Jatrakam Mivabalakaha. Then his right hand came down, and his left palm he held Govardhan. And while everybody was looking upon Krishna with his left palm holding Govardhan, at that point Krishna done something which no one has ever imagined him to do. He then closed his palm and with his left finger held. Govardhan Maharaj ki jai ho! Jai Shri Govardhan Maharaj ki jai! Shri Giri Govardhan Nal ki jai ho! And as Krishna lifted the hill, everybody started to ask Krishna, please help us, please help us. Please hear our urge, please hear our wish. Mere Govardhan Giridhari, Sudalona urge hamari.
Mere Govardhan Giridhari, Mere Govardhan Giridhari, सुन लो नाराज हमारी. मेरे गोवर्धन गिरिधारी, सुन लो नाराज हमारी. मेरे गोवर्धन गिरिधारी, सुन लो नाराज हमारी. सरुसी छोड़ भी दो, तुम रू सरुसी छोड़ भी दो. मुख मेरी तरफ अब मोड़ भी दो, मुख मेरी तरफ अब मोड़ भी दो. आए मैं शरण तुम्हारी, सुन लो नाराज हमारी. शरण तुम्हारी, सुन लो नाराज हमारी. मेरे गोवर्धन गिरिधारी, सुन लो नाराज हमारी. मेरे गोवर्धन गिरिधारी, सुन लो नाज हमारी. मेरे दिन बीते बीती रातें, मेरे दिन बीते बीते रातें. मेरे दिन बीते बीती रातें. करते नहीं मुझसे बनते, क्यों करते नहीं मुझसे बनते. कुछ बोलो न बनवारी, सुन लो नाराज हमारी. कुछ बोलो न
लो ना अर्ज हमारी।
मेरे गोवर्धन गिरधारी सुन लो नाराज हमारी।
मेरे गोवर्धन गिरधारी सुन लो ना अर्ज हमारी।
तुम सागर हो करुणा रस के, तुम सागर हो
करुणा रस के।
मुझ में अवगुण दुनिया भर के,
मुझ में अवगुण दुनिया भर के।
फिर भी मैं दास तुम्हारी सुन लो नाराज हमारी। फिर भी मैं दास तुम्हारी
सुन लो ना अर्ज हमारी।
मेरे गोवर्धन गिरधारी सुन लो नाराज हमारी।
मेरे गोवर्धन गिरधारी सुन लो ना अर्ज हमारी।
गिरिराज धरन में तो तुम्हारी शरण, गिरिराज धरन
में तो
तुम्हारी शरण।
गिरिराज धरन में तो तुम्हारी शरण।
गिरिराज धरन में तो तुम्हारी शरण।
तुम्हारी शरण श्री जी तुम्हारी शरण।
तुम्हारी शरण श्री जी तुम्हारी शरण।
तुम्हारी शरण श्री जी तुम्हारी शरण। तुम्हारी शरण श्री जी
तुम्हारी शरण।
गिरिराज धारण में तो तुम्हारी शरण। गिरिराज
धरन में तो तुम्हारी शरण।
गिरिराज धारण में तो तुम्हारी शरण। गिरिराज
धरन में तो
तुम्हारी शरण।
गिरिराज धारण में तो तुम्हारी शरण।
गिरिराज धरन में तो तुम्हारी शरण।
तुम्हारी शरण रमना 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 राधा रमना। राधे मेरो राधा रमन गिरिधारी। गिरिधारी श्याम वनवारी। मेरो राधा रमन गिरिधारी।
गिरिधारी
श्याम वनवारी।
मेरो राधा रमन गिरिधारी। गिरिधारी श्याम वनवारी। राधा रमन गिरिधारी,
मेरो राधा रमन गिरिधारी,
गिरिधारी श्याम वनवारी,
गिरिधारी श्याम वनवारी,
गिरिधारी श्याम वनवारी,
गिरिधारी श्याम वनवारी,
मेरो राधा रमन गिरिधारी, मेरो राधा रमन गिरिधारी, मेरो राधा रमन गिरिधारी, मेरो राधा रमन, 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 मेरो राधा रमन,
मेरो राधा रमन,
मेरो राधा रमन,
मेरो राधा रमन,
मेरो राधा रमन, मेरो राधा रमन, मेरो राधा रमन, मेरो राधा रमन, मेरो राधा रमन, मेरो राधा रमन, मेरो राधा रमन, मेरो राधा रमन, मेरो राधा रमन, मेरो राधा रमन, मेरो राधा रमन.
Haribo, Haribo. Wow, so beautiful, huh, Prabhuji? Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. So nice, so nice. So we're out of time. Just a few minutes left, and then I'll quickly finish off. I'm very sorry. You know, Krishna Katha, it's so beautiful. You can listen, speak, and you're such a lovely crowd. And I wish I could be here for longer. Thank you so much for listening and being such a fantastic assembly. I'll quickly try to close very, very fast. Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill and he raised it into the air like it was an umbrella. And he called everybody. He said, Maya, Pitashri, Gopas, Gopis, Shri Radha, Nanda, Yashoda, everybody come. Come and stand under Govardhan. You worshipped Govardhan, you loved Govardhan, and Govardhan will protect you. So they all came and they stood underneath Govardhan Hill. Now something miraculous took place. There are many, many views as to what actually transpired at that point. I would like to give you one view, which is actually from a conversation that did not take place on the physical realm. It took place in the subtle realm between two great saints, one of which was Madhva Acharya, and the responder, believe it or not, was Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How is it that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Madhva Acharya spoke? Because there's a difference of about 600 years between both. This conversation took place in the Aprakat Leela, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was instructing Madhva Acharya to come to earth. It's a big point which I won't go into now, but during that conversation, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was discussing Govardhan Leela with Madhva Acharya. And he said something really beautiful. He said, Radha Rupa Mahat Kritva Hridi Krishnasya Chagata. When Krishna wanted to lift Govardhan Hill, he started meditating upon Shri Radha Rani. Shri Radha Rani ki Jai Ho. And as he meditated upon Shri Radha Rani, Hridi Krishnasya Chagata, Shri Radharani appeared in his heart. Okay? And then, Tat Shaktya Bhagavan Krishna Dhritva Govardhanam Giram. From the strength of Shri Radharani in Krishna's heart, did Krishna get the strength to lift Govardhan hill. So this is one reason how Krishna lifted Govardhan hill, because of the strength of having meditated upon Shri Radharani captured in Krishna's heart. This is possibly why some acharyas say that Krishna used his left hand, because it is Krishna's left hand side which is Shri Radharani. So for those who go to Vrindavan and see, Shri Banka Bihari Lal ki Jai Ho! Bangi Bihari Ji's left hand side is Shri Radharani. Therefore Krishna used Shri Radharani Shakti to lift Govardhan hill. This is one other version in the scriptures. Nevertheless, after Krishna lifted Govardhan hill, the rocks began to split, because physically he lifted up a huge mound of earth off the ground. And to this day you can see Govardhan hill is full of broken and split rocks. And even at the bottom of Govardhan hill, it is absolutely full of the rocks that fell from Govardhan hill as Krishna lifted it. Because Krishna was standing in the center of Govardhan, and because he lifted the center of Govardhan, the scriptures go into a lot of detail to explain scientifically, as well as based upon the geographic analysis on how Krishna lifted the hill. It's described in lots of detail. Just one point. Because Krishna lifted the center of the hill, it became reshaped. The scriptures say, in the same way that Triparasura was reshaped by Lord Shiva, similarly Govardhan hill became reshaped, and it took his form because of the pressure that Krishna had in the center of Govardhan hill. The uneven ground became even. And there are so many other changes that took place around Govardhan hill because of the pressure of Krishna lifting Govardhan hill. At that point, Sudarshan Chakra appeared, and it began to hover around Govardhan hill. And in the Garaga Samhita, Garaga Acharya says that Sudarshan began to drink the rains and the hailstones and the storm that was being thrown on top of Govardhan hill by Indra and the Sambarta cloud. So Sudarshan was drinking the rains falling onto Govardhan hill. And any drops which touched Govardhan hill, it felt like it was flower petals. In fact, some of the animals jumped onto the peak of Govardhan hill, and they were unable to feel anything coming from the clouds at all. Around Govardhan hill there was a flood, and Garaga Acharya says that Sheshnag Anantasesh appeared, and he drank the water, preventing the floods. Indra was baffled. He saw that Govardhan hill is not being touched by anything that I'm doing. In fact, there's no flood because Sheshnag is drinking all the water. In this way, Indra became completely perplexed, and this continued for 7 days and 7 nights. Indra's attempt to destroy Vrindavan and knock off Govardhan hill from the left finger of Krishna Bhagavan. 7 days and 7 nights. And then after 7 days and 7 nights, Indra got fed up. And with his right hand, he pulled out the Vajra, the thunderbolt, made from the bones of Maharishi Dadichi. A thunderbolt that never loses aim. Anything that is thrown gets destroyed. He picked up the Vajra, and Krishna then paralyzed the Vajra and Indra's right arm. And then suddenly, the Samavarta cloud also froze. And then Indra, he saw something which he was unable to comprehend. Every single atom, every single object every single thing in Vrindavan, the gopis, the gopas, the rocks, the sky, the mountains, the grass, the cows, the animals, the deers, the hogs, everything turned into Krishna. All Indra could see was Krishna, Krishna, and Krishna. Indra fainted. He became unconscious. And as he became unconscious, the sun rose, the clouds dispersed, Indra ran away, and the entire Vrindavan became back to its beautiful self. At that point, Krishna told the gopis and the gopas, "You may now leave and return back to your home." Krishna's friends, the gopas, said to Krishna, "You've done so much work lifting Govardhan. Why don't you go first? You go first and we'll hold Govardhan. Huh? Have a little rest." Krishna said, "Are you serious? Really? Okay." Krishna then transferred 50% of the weight of Govardhan on the sticks of the gopas. As soon as Krishna transferred exactly 50% of the weight, all of his boy friends, the gopas, collapsed. They fell to the ground. And then Krishna, with one hand, picked them all up and said, "I think you should go first." And then the gopas were the last ones that left and exited Govardhan Hill. There's so much more to explain, but very quickly, Indra ran to Lord Brahma, said to Brahma, "What have I just done? Please help me." Brahma said, "You destroyed the cows of Vrindavan. Bring them back to life. And take Surabhi with you and go and beg for forgiveness." Indra, with Mother Surabhi, went to Govardhan. Krishna did not want to humiliate Indra anymore, the Bhagavatam says. So Krishna waited at the center of Govardhan Hill on a stone lying down, so Indra could have a private meeting, a private chit-chat. So Indra came with Surabhi. He begged for forgiveness. In the Bhagavatam, you can read the prayers that he recited. After Krishna Bhagwan forgave Indra, he said to him, "Don't be egoistic. You are a demigod. You are a devata. Just do your duty and understand who is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead and don't interfere." Indra then said, "I have appeared on earth as Arjun. Please guide me as Arjun. Please teach me your teachings." That is why, one of the reasons why Arjun was chosen to hear Bhagavad Gita, because Indra requested to learn about the science of Krishna consciousness. And he begged Krishna, "Please teach me your knowledge. I will appear as your cousin. Please correct all of my paths. Please, in fact, become my charioteer." All of the relationship between Arjuna and Krishna was begged by Indra at this point. See, everything has a reason behind it. Not just because he was Kunti Putra or because he was Krishna's friend. There were reasons as to why Arjuna became very close to Krishna. It was a way of Indra remediating his limitations, his lack of understanding. And then finally, Surabhi said that, "I would like you to now, Tvamna Indro Jagatpate." This is not actually Indra. You are the true Indra. So you become the Indra of the entire universe. Brahma has said to me that I should do your Abhishek. And after doing your Abhishek, we will coronate you with a brand new name. The one who defeated Indra for the love of the cows. Krishna received the name after Govardhan Leela as Shri Govinda. Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. And this is how Krishna received his name Govinda, the one who defeated Indra because of the love for cows. And hence Govardhan Leela in this way was concluded. Nanda Baba came to Krishna and he summarized the entire Leela in just one verse. There is a beautiful verse which all of us know. There is a beautiful verse that all of us chant, but you might not know where that verse came from. It's a very, very beautiful, very famous verse All of you probably recite it daily, if not weekly. And this is the verse that Nanda Baba recited to Krishna. Please join with me. The verse that Nanda Baba recited to Krishna, which summarizes the worship of Krishna's devotees, of Govardhan, of cows, and the fact that he got his name Govinda. The verse that Nanda Baba himself created to recite to Krishna has become universally popular and beautiful. And that verse is Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagadditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. This is the verse that Nanda Baba himself created, wrote, and recited to Lord Shri Krishna as Lord Shri Govinda Dev. Thank you all so much for your time. I'm very sorry for running over. There was a small request that some of the ladies are observing Karwa Chauth, yes, and they wanted to hear the Karwa Chauth Katha. For those who would like to hear the Katha, we can do so maybe in the Prasadam room. We can sit in a circle and recite the Katha for those that would like to hear, if that's okay, because I'm so sorry we ran out of time to do it here. But thank you all so much for giving us, all of us, your love, your time, and your affection. Please forgive me for anything that I said which was uncomfortable or not well understood because of my own limitations. We just try to repeat a little bit that we read and hear. And we really hope that you have a wonderful Kartik and you have an absolutely beautiful Govardhan Puja ahead. We hope that these few words remain in your mind as you receive Govardhan Leela in a few days' time. A very happy Diwali in advance to all of you. May your families be blessed with love for Shri Krishna. May the story reside in our hearts, and may our relationship with Krishna become deeper and deeper during the days of Kartik. I would also like to, with my heart, very much thank His Grace Anjana Sutta Prabhu for leading such beautiful bhajans, and Sunit Prabhu for his wonderful tablas, and of course Jayarajji for the amazing bansuri, and Sonaji, thank you so much for the backing vocals, and our Shama Sundar Thakurji, thank you so much for singing so beautifully, and to all of you, Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Shri Govinda, Hare Krishna, thank you so very much. Hari Bol. Thank you so much. Oh yes, and also thank you to the sound guys. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. We have some prasad that we will also serve in the room, so please help yourself to some prasad as well. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Very nice.